Hey, 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 oh, ah, hey, ay, ah, wey, hey, oh, ah, hey, 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 some guy that I'm friendly with was talking to this girl. I know he has a wife, but he was talking to this girl, and she was interested in him. She was like trying to get close to him. So I walked by, and when he looked at me, I went, and then left. And I was like, oh, fuck. I was being like, hey, look, hey. And he was like, what? I terrified this Jehovah's Witness. And then I came back later. I was like, I did that Doug thing because she was into you, man. He was like, oh no, we were talking about buying a dog. You know? I fucked that up. Dude, I had to. It's a inch and a half sheet of ice covering the whole building. They only gave me a 2-inch wide flathead spear that you drive into the thing. So it took me 2.5 hours just to clear out a staircase, a square to the walkway, and then I did a little bit of the, what do you call it? What do you call it? Not homeless encampment, the handicap ramp. What up, Casey Morris? Hey dude, you got your spot for tonight? Nasty out there? It's not nasty out there. It's cold. It's about 1 degree out. Don't have a spot for tonight, but I have kind of a spot that I kind of go to. I'm here because I was hoping, but when I got, what's cool is I met someone named Jessica, and she was homeless in Florida, and it sucks, but she was the nicest person I've ever met. Not maybe not nice, but I've never met. But she was really nice, and she works at the gas station, and she's renting a room at her friend's house, and I made sure it wasn't a bad situation. And we bonded over how much this town sucks and how bad they treat everybody. So I just told her, you know, if I ever come into possession of 200 acres, would you be willing to rent to? Because you're nice, and I know we'll never have problems, and I know that you are a great person. How do you feel about renting to own your own little section? Start with 1 acre, and if you'd like to do more, you can do more. And then I know a lot of people like you that are all interested. So why don't we just do 200? And she's like, yeah, you could really help people rebuild their life, you know? Which I don't know what she meant by that. Was she saying it's a temporary situation, or would you be freeing them from rock bottom? I don't know. So we're trying. 3 months ago, for $30, I bought a really shitty stove that you can only use outside. And the plan was, in an emergency, I would have something to throw in some stuff and light a fire. It's like a Temu wood stove. Great. Casey Morris says he has 5 acres and worked his way up, and now he is total freedom, and he's lucky. That's great. I want to live here. And I want to go to Montana, I think. I want to see Montana. And I want a horse. The car helped me. The car only made sense when I had a place to stay. Because I would be in the tent, and I'm like, man, if I could get a car, I could get so much shit here. And then I could park it downtown. But now I can't find anywhere to put my tent. There's nowhere to put it. So now it's like it doesn't even matter. So now I'm looking for land. Good news, everybody. Sorry, my Sharingan. My jutsu activated. So I went to a homeless program that's 30 miles away. I went there. It was somebody whose first and last name was one of my good friends in high school. She had the same name. So I go there, I see her. I also talked to the director of that program about, have you seen Avatar? And he was like, no, but I know what it's about. I was like, yeah, there's a mycelial network that, whether it's a super intelligence or what, but when homeless people live out there, their traumas and all the things that you're trying to destroy in a psychiatric facility and replace with the right way, nature will do that naturally in a way that honors them, because it's, whether it's a super intelligence or not, those traumas and shit that they are suffering with, it's like scratching on a chalkboard. And he was like, okay, and then went back to his work, knowing that he was like, who knows what the fuck. People probably come in there and say, I am Jesus Christ. Bow to me. So, you know, I've seen fourth dimensional beings that take a log and hit the tree 3 times. But I haven't seen, you know, speaking of Timu, it's more like an ancient descendant of Brian Boru than Timu Aquaman. It's more like a real-life Kraven the Hunter. Let's do my Timu unboxing, though. Upstate Yak. Are you an inbred yokel? Are you the cattle for the Jews, and you're so proud to be the Jews' cattle, working so hard all day for the things they allow you to have? Yes, I love it. Because regardless of what happens, they gave me people I can be hateful towards. So this is what it looks like. It's one of these. Can't put it in a tent, but I was like, worst case scenario, if I'm ever to free, and like, because it gets to -60 wind chill. So, what's up with these white people, man? What's up with these inbred yokels, man? What's up with these Jesuit slave cave monkey retards? Coming in here just to fester their negativity and try to jizz it into the universe, hoping that someone will finally love them. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's been coming to me intuitively lately. My ancestors speaking about how the reason that my state is very tough to live in a tent is because there used to be a war here against people who lived in tents that they were trying to eradicate. You know what I'm saying? Hey, should we keep him, guys? How do we feel about this guy? Come on, bro. I can't believe you guys are real. I literally have to believe that it's like an antichrist or something. It's the only way in my autistic savant brain I can come up with the conclusion that would be able to explain the collective behavior from a specific race, because you can't tie it down. Like with blacks, obviously you eradicated their culture, kept them extremely traumatized, and then grew them from the most extreme circumstances any human can endure. So, yeah, they're gonna be pissed. And they're gonna have some residual stuff. And they were like, what's the best solution? Give us land so that we can get out of these horrible places and start to care for animals. That's all they want. Give us our 40 acres and a mule, like they literally legally promised them. They legally said, we will give you all 40 acres and a mule. Literally, that's where it came from. They literally said, we're going to give you 40 acres and a mule. You know what they did? They killed those people and they kidnapped their children and they kept them still. You know what I'm saying? I'm white, dude. When you put me around other white people, there's an obvious, like the thing about the problem with where I live. One, it's 90% white, so the people are crazy. They should have went home. I mean, home would be Florida, because obviously common sense tells us that African people are African, but everywhere in the entire world, the indigenous people are melanated. If you're talking about history, if you want to bring history into it. Also, where's the evidence of the slave ships? You can find that you can literally trace back the word cracker to being a derogatory term the lobsterbacks would say about the Irish. You could literally find the exact moment where the English started calling Irish crackers, because they would show up on boats. They would say, "You have to work for us," and the Irish would be like, "What the fuck?" And they would crack a joke. So they'd say, "These fucking crackers." They're back in the day, they were calling them jokesters. And that's true. It happened in Virginia. And then they would go east, or west, sorry. They would go west, and they built fucking West Virginia, Kentucky, and Nebraska. You love country music? You whites, you love country music? That's Irish. That's native music. That's indigenous music. You love bluegrass, whatever? You like Billy Strings? That's all us, man. So check out my tent stove. White people invented lying, I think. White people invented playing pretend, and they built a society that made their children unable to tell the difference between reality and playing pretend. So they live there. They live in pretend. And they let their schizophrenic delusions, force-fed to them by the Jesuit order, run their everyday life. They get mad at who they're allowed to get mad at. They spend all day avoiding accountability and taking their shit out on others who are taking their shit out on people because they're traumatized. You know what I'm saying? Privileged people talking so much shit about people who are acting the same exact way they're acting, but they're coming from a place of trauma where the other people are coming from a place of privilege. In my town that I'm in now, a group of white kids bullied a girl who was, until she killed herself. They tried to crush my head with a log. Look, so what white people do is they're lemmings. So they're trying to group as many lemmings together by virtue signaling. But they're addicted to likes, and the thing I love about YouTube is there's no like button. There's no haha react. So the lemmings can't get there. They can't get the stimulation to their brain that heroin gives you from their haha reacts and putting it together. They're addicted to hate. And it all comes down to avoiding the mirror. Where you could literally verbatim just copy and paste and literally just reflect the same exact way that they are at them, and they won't be able to register it, and their anger towards their own behavior is so funny. Imagine worshiping an idol like Jesus, but then refusing to act anything like him. You base your whole religion on acting like Jesus, and then you vehemently throw away his specific message to act like inbred, retard, drug addict freaks obsessed with power, loss of self and your inner child, to obsess about your pride, and then spending all day living in that, where you're just making fake jokes that aren't even funny, and then everyone around you goes, ha 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 ha, because you're consuming some dark force energy, and then you take it out on your community, and you play these stupid dominance games all day. All day you're just fucking trying to dominate each other. It's so stupid. All your kids do is practice dominating each other, and then when you get rich enough, all they talk about is how they conquered that ski slope. We really conquered that. What a bunch of losers. Like, white people will climb to the top of Mount Everest because nobody wants to fuck them. Right? White people will skydive out of a plane because they don't know how to find the clitoris. They will find the hidden, like the Raiders of the Lost Ark. They will find that buried hidden treasure because they can't find the clitoris. Monster? Is that? No, Montes Orion. Dude, I got this one Reese's peanut butter bar. Let them pile up. So, the Jews have admitted that thousands of years ago, there was an ancient order. You could call it the Eye of Horus, or the top of the pyramid. The bird with the two wings spread, whether it's an eagle in America or the thunderbird, the Nazis, Horus in Egypt. There was this ancient society that was global, that their symbol was that bird. They broke off into separate things, whether it was by nukes or what, but they became so advanced that they either transcended this earthly realm or they left us behind. And the descendants of those people still to this day can recite that story because they held on to their history. When you look inside the pyramids, you will see hieroglyphs of people with light skin, slanted eyes, that wear feathers in their hair, like one single feather, and they wear feathers on their arm. Those were the most advanced civilization in the world's history. And what culture is practicing that today but the Absolute and the Cree, the Native Americans, who tell you, yes, we're descended from an ancient society of star people. Google, you inbred retard, you little lemming. Just Google it. Hey, Deadly Chihuahua, you'll never come back. Watch. I'll never see a message from you ever again. Go on with your miserable life, you pathetic piece of shit. So, the Freemasons have this structure where they keep making it, where it's this flat plane with a triangle on top and a bunch of pillars. What the natives say about Egypt is that advanced civilization, way better than any of us, left that there as a decodable black box, assuming that as we evolve as a society and we get past all this bullshit, when you guys finally wake up and let your trash go, when white people stop trying to hurt everybody else all day, talking shit, and we finally get together and do something actually productive instead of pretending that you're on the winning team, we will have an evolved sense of empathy, morality, democracy as a collective consciousness. And when that happens, we will be able to work in spirit with things outside of us in the electromagnetic spectrum. Our ancestors are spirit guides. They're saying you're telling them too much. And we'll be able to uncover what's below the pyramids that advanced society has left us. But they've always known it was there because they're hiding the truth from us. But those pillars with that flat plane that goes into a triangle, and now that we have LiDAR, we've seen that below the pyramids are those giant pillars. I baited a bunch of children to feed their addiction for a little bit so they can throw a temper tantrum in my comment section just to get them hooked long enough so that they could try to hopefully hear a little bit of what I said. Because they're unsavable. The Christian nation is unsavable. Isn't that crazy? When that happens, which has been prophesied, if you do numerology, astrology, Bazi, sidereal astrology, Vietnamese astrology, the Mayan calendar, the Incas, they've all been saying for thousands and thousands of years that it was going to happen in 2020. We were going to have the planetary conjunction in the year of the rat, the feminine chaos in the 4 Law and Order year, while we suffered in chaos in our little boxes until the planetary alignment on December 21st, where we were hit with the new world and we're slowly evaporating all the old world until the truth is right there, the highest vibration, or the trumpets of revelations. And all you have to do is let it go. Just let it go. Shut the fuck up for once. And go outside and sit there and let it go. Pay attention to your thoughts and the changes in your thoughts, and just continue letting it all go. And you'll see that nature will try to suggest to you that Mother Earth is real, and if you're worthy and deserving of it, there will be a connection made, and it will free your heart, and you will be brand new. True story. It's up to you. Let it go. But if you need more, that pyramid, the term pyramid scheme, levels and levels and levels until the all-seeing eye. What is that all-seeing eye? The GOAT. Trump has a ballroom where he put a statue of Baal. Who is Baal? It's like if you watch Avatar Ewa, it's the dark Ewa. Or Cernunnos, the Irish called him. Loki, the Vikings called him. It's the god of the wild. But Baal has a specific negative satanic connotation. Baal comes from Saturn. They believe that just like our mind is influenced by our environment and the people that we meet, the constantly shifting energies of the planets in the electromagnetic spectrum, which human beings can only see 0.0001% of, all that chaos going around through string theory proves that as the planets move, their influence on the planet changes. The energy from Capricorn and Saturn, they believe, is the Dark Empire, or that pyramid scheme. They believe that if they connect to that planet with the right frequency and they hold an intention to build a communication through electromagnetic spectrum and quantum entanglement, and they offer things to it, like they used to sacrifice chickens, the Jews, now they do sexual rituals, and they sacrifice humans. They feel if they bless Capricorn and they worship Capricorn or Baal, they are rewarded with power, authority, and autonomy in this realm. Look up celebrity Saturn worship, look up Black Rock, look up Mecca, look up picture of a Christian cross and then fold it up into a box. Look at the Star of David, which is a 3D optical illusion of the cube. That hexagon shape is the eye of Saturn in this hexagonal storm on top of Saturn. 6-7. Those people that worship that satanic entity, whether you like it or not, that's what they believe. If you think it's crazy, your judge is crazy. Your local police force is crazy, because they're all Freemasons or somehow involved in some way. Or they can definitely point out one of them to you that they know. You can go to any town in my quad state area, and every single town has they're putting on a representant. When I went to court, he did the Freemason sign right in front of me. Those people, and the Jews are only a small breakaway. That's only been going on for 400 years. But for thousands of years, before Christ, they were running everything. Part of their dark empire in the Capricorn and the pyramid scheme involved extending your will and influence, like you guys are trying to do in my comment section, to rape other vessels, to extend your will to their spirit, sort of gain control, and then sort of market off your serfs or your slaves to your higher up to get more power and influence until you get to the top, which supposedly you transcend reality and become a god of your own. So Jews have been telling you for hundreds of thousands of years that white people were the same way that the English breed dogs the way that they like. White people have been bred like dogs for 2,000 years. They created Islam, they created Christianity, and they created Judaism to divide and conquer, the same way that we have third-party throwaway parties, but the main one is Democrat and Republican. They separate and they hold that space above you in your mind, so you have a connection to that, identifying as a Democrat, and you on a higher level have subjugated your infinite potential through a filter and funnel that every time you think, like a Bitcoin mining machine, your vessel processes energy, and when it comes through you, it goes to those channels. So those things that they worship, that you accidentally are worshiping, trickle back to them. You can watch Tucker Carlson talk to that guy from Silicon Valley about AI, where he comes clean and says, yes, the people that work in Silicon Valley do satanic rituals. They do believe that they are speaking to a force greater than humans that operates outside of the earthly realm, that asks them for vessels to inhabit. So they're building them robots. You can just watch that, where he tells Tucker Carlson they're Satanists. If you look at the symbols that Satanists would use, I think it's Aleister Crowley. And if you don't like it, leave. Isn't that what you guys love saying? If you don't like it, leave. Why don't you go back to where you came from? Losers. So if that huge organization right there is doing exactly what I'm talking about, they're a small fry, and there's the big kahuna that created religion. And they created America. And they created everything you do in your life if you're an American citizen. Because they killed a specific group of people who happened to look exactly like the hieroglyphs in ancient Egypt, and are still practicing that culture to this day. So when I call white people with English last names Jew cattle, it's because that's what you are. You spent so long keeping up with the Joneses, you forgot your infinite potential. You got so involved in that society because there was no alternative. And you relayed that, your granddad relayed it to you. And you've just been growing the wrong way for so long. Would you say that Harvard is the smartest people in the country, the most educated? That's what it was supposed to be, right? Harvard was the most prestigious college, right? They're supposed to be the most educated people in the country. and they just posted every single aspect of white culture and the detriments that it had on the United States. Harvard posted white society and the pros and the cons. And everybody's really mad at the cons, saying it's racist. What up, Brianna? Yeah, I had permission to be at a property. I went around and asking people if I could put my tent there because I can't get a birth certificate. I've waited 6 months for a birth certificate since my last car got stolen, and it hasn't come in the mail. So I had to be out there. I tried not to make a mess. Any trash that I couldn't pick up later, I kept, like my cigarette butts back then. And one day I got a little mirror bathroom cabinet, and I was working shoveling. I still work shoveling because an Irish castle helped me. And some guy shows up and says, because I was carrying a medicine cabinet, they said I was scary. So he kicks a bunch of my shit, tells me he's going to take a bucket loader and destroy everything. And he just kept screaming at me to get a job. And I literally explained, I literally cannot get a job. I told you I shovel and I flip free things on Marketplace for money. But I've been waiting on this birth certificate from New York for 6 months now, and I put the application in twice. There's literally nothing I can do, and I came here because the entire town said that this was the place to go because it's safe, and I asked everyone in that business if they had a problem with me, and everyone said, you're good, bro. The only person that has an issue with it is you. And you're fat, and you're drunk, and you can't even understand a word that I'm saying. You're screaming at me to get a job, and I've told you I'm literally doing the best that I can. So he threatens me some more, stomps away, calls the police, drama. The next day, he looks at me and he spits and he stomps a little bit at me, then runs away down into a basement. So I'm like, if he's gonna be like this, that's a psycho. That is someone with severe mental health issues. That is a nut job that was allowed to be white for so long that it consumed him. And now there's nothing left. So I just said, hey, what's up, man? Are you feeling better? And he went off on me for like 20 minutes. Eventually, he said, I'm going to come up there. And I said, and do what? And then he came up there and he got in my face and swung at me. And then he stomped away and said, I'm going to do it in 2 minutes. He told me in 2 minutes he was going to attack me. And then 2 minutes went by. I tried to de-escalate the situation. And then he stomps by me and he almost shoulder checks me, but he sees me move my phone, so he knows I'm recording him. So he doesn't. If I did that to somebody, I'd be in jail, which is what I told the chief of police. But because of that, nice people in the community donated to get my car. So now I have a car. Yeah. There's a lot more of them than we realize. I'm pretty sure in South Africa there's like 20,000 of them. It's a real religion. And religion is spanning the world. And they all get together and they find loopholes. They find, they're innovating and learning. So Satanists have a whole thing that they're doing. It wouldn't surprise me that there's a lot of kidnappings. Because they're like an organization, they're a militant force. Ah! It's the light. I turn the light on. Ah! And yeah, all that's real. The Jews made the whites, and they made them proud by giving them somebody that they can pick on. And now we have these rotten fruits that just spend all day picking on other people. I'm getting a phone call. Why am I getting a phone call, guys? From Oregon. Hey, look. That random automated message that calls me every time I meditate and I feel I'm close to connecting to a higher power. And they call me every single time has called me. What's wrong with being white? Being white isn't a race unless it's a rotten fruit. They put the wrong fertilizer on the plant. If you put the plant in the right fertilizer and let it grow the right way, I'm sure it would be great. But they've been genetically modifying that plant in shitty soil, experimenting to try to make the perfect plant in their image for so long, and it just didn't go the way that they wanted. And now we have an invasive species across the world. But that's not your fault. But the higher level beings are orchestrating a righteous and just punishment for what they've witnessed from that collective entity. Kissing Coca-Cola, they know the kiss picture of Anton before they said poor homeless person, they're gonna take that. Yeah, I don't know if they're doing it here, but I know that they're going missing here. But I live in, it's a state full of like 40 or 50 small towns. I know they kidnapped somebody, raped them, and dumped them on the side of the road, called their buddy who was a cop, and the cop made it so they were unable to prosecute them. They pled guilty, smiling in the courtroom, and then they walked out free. Because if you can't recognize the behavior and make a change, you're going to continue growing in the wrong direction. Just because your great-great-great-great-grandpappy was a hero doesn't mean that you don't have to be a hero, man. Jack, I've been responding to your stuff. I read your message to the chat, and I respond to it, brother. Jack Frost. Is your name Jack Frost, or is that Coke? I think Queso does Coke in the bathroom when he plays his video games. I be watching Queso streams, man, and he goes to the bathroom a lot. And I know he's not pissing in there. I think he's bumping. If whites are so sophisticated, why do they exhibit the same behavior, just hiding behind a legal system they know is designed unfairly? They're just as violent, they're just as malicious, if not more so, but they do it in secret, and they do it socially. They do the same stuff, and the people they take it out on are fed up, and they react to that, but they don't stoop to their level as being these pussy hiding behind police. They just teach them a lesson. Laughing Goat, what up, man? I've been homeless for 12 years. I'm a 33 life path, born on the 11th. My name is the most powerful name in Freemasonry. It's the oldest name in recorded history, because it's an African tree. But I don't know. This is just how I pass the time, move things forward. I have to find land. And I'm just, I went for 3 hours. I took one break for 15 minutes because I had to take a shit. But other than that, I just put on my round dance music, and I took my 2-inch flathead ice pick, and there was a sheet of ice covering an entire walkway, 3 staircases, handicap ramp, and back way. And you can only really do like if you even go like a ½ inch from the border where the ice ends, it doesn't do anything. So you have to go about ½ an inch, less than ½ an inch, and just chisel it. So I would slam on that shit, breaking that ice apart, and I did it for 2.5 hours. I only got the entryway, a little bit on the staircase, and I got a little bit of just around so that there are patches that people can stand on. But I still have to do the handicap ramp tomorrow. Luckily, nobody came in today. I still have to do that main walkway, which is going to be a bitch, but I have a week to do it. So I'm going to go back tomorrow and do it. But I'm tired because I didn't stop for 3 hours. How do I find info? I mean, lately it's like I'm sitting out in the woods and I get called to turn on the camera and then I say these things and not all of it makes sense to me at the time. I never go back and listen to myself. But then like a week later, my phone will show me the receipts of everything that I said. With like long-standing, long-form content with proof of what I say. So I think I'm just tapped into the collective and I'm getting messages from some type of higher being for whatever reason. So I'm trying. I don't really know where to go. I really just want to make songs. But I get a lot of really good ideas, especially when I'm driving now. I get a lot of really good ideas. It's just a bunch of like stuff comes to me and I change it to what I want to make. And I make things, but I don't have the means to make it happen. So I'm just slowly working towards it, like gym membership. I need omega-3s and multivitamins. I'm eventually probably going to have to put a bed into the car, I guess. And I'm getting a cabin tent in the mail soon and a tent stove soon. So I'm looking for a piece of land that I can put the tent on. And then I'm going to meet soon with a bunch of, like I met somebody who's really connected to the people that want to end the homeless crisis. And they believe I have a lot of value because I basically have a master's degree and PhD in homelessness or just living outside of society. You can't go into the woods and kill a wolf anymore, so I think it was really cool. My rite of passage was being completely alone in a culture that would constantly attack me. And I documented a lot of it. Let's talk real estate. Are you a real estate agent? What do you mean, let's talk real estate? I'm trying to save up money so I can get to New York, where I was born. It's like just outside New York City. It was the hospital. And I've been waiting for 6 months for a birth certificate. It's not coming. So I'm going to call them tomorrow because I went live today. And then if not, I'm going to try to save up enough money to drive down there and get it so that I can come back and try to find a real job. You're in New York upstate. How close are you to Plattsburgh? I don't know. You think, what's weird, do you think that, how does your body know to cut, like, if you just let your pubic hair grow, does it keep going or does it stop? Is there like a cutoff point where it stops, or can you dread your shit? Hudson Valley? I don't know I don't know a lot of New York, but I'm close to Plattsburgh. Um, I spent a couple years I spent about a year in New York in 2022. Yeah, I could dread my shit. Walk around with 10 dicks. She's expecting a trouser snake and she finds Medusa. You know what I'm saying? I'll walk around in a Speedo too. In Florida. In my state, at least, they told me today, if I can find a piece of land to put the thing on, and I get a can't, they'll give me, they can apply for a grant to give me $7,000 as long as I buy 2013 or newer RV, and it has to have a wood stove, and it has to be winterized with a way to heat it. It doesn't have to be a wood stove, but I need to be able to heat it in the winter. And then they will, that can qualify, and I could get government assistance if I want. Which, I mean, I don't feel bad about taking from the Jesuit order, especially when we found out that they're putting billions of dollars into Somalian daycare centers to pay themselves secretly. Christina Reynolds, a woman? Is that a woman talking? Christina, you don't look that white. What else are you? Or are you just old and your skin is dying? But yeah. I had sex with an African woman this year from Africa. 2024, I did not get laid at all because I traveled from Randolph to Johnson. And I documented everything. 2023, I hooked up with 3 girls. One was a yoga instructor. One was, she was bad, but I think she was bipolar. And then 2022, I had sex with 3 girls. 2021, I had sex with 3 girls. 2020, I had a girlfriend. 2019, I had sex with 3. 2018 was like 7 or 8. 2017 was like 10 to 15. 2016 was like 10. Kevin Jones. Is that a monkey? No, it's a pug. Are you a fat 40-year-old white man? That smokes a lot of ganja? Smoking a lot of ganja? Why do black chicks always keep their bush? Ladies, we don't. I mean, she was shaved. Every black girl I've been with was shaved. I'm glad you guys found each other. Hallelujah. I bought trash bags, chat. I gotta clean my goddamn trash. And I didn't get to do it today because it was closed. For some reason they weren't in the office, but I have to get the rest of my stuff. And I have to charge my devices. So that's what I was trying to do today. Was bring it all inside and then lay it all in the conference room. And then get rid of what I don't want and donate what I don't need. And then put everything into those and then organize it in the car. If I can talk to Danielle, I bet she'd let me park my car there at this other place. Maybe I'd have to give them $20 a month, but I think they would let me do it, and then I could go back out in the woods where I feel at home. Yo, is the guy that sent me a slingshot around? I haven't gotten it yet. What the fuck was that? What the hell? It's a fucking coyote. There's a coyote out there now. Running through that field. Thank God it's snowing. It means I get money tomorrow when I go to work. That's great for you, man. I'm not gonna read that. You're such a fantasy yourself, Kevin. I drove 250 miles yesterday looking for a free public shower, and there was none. Some days I'm able to shower a place 40 miles away from where I live. Is this person coming to check out? No, they're not. They're leaving. Am I married? I was almost engaged once. That was a native snow jigaboo. Pukwudgies are real. I've seen pukwudgies. I've seen them a lot. If you decide to go out to the forest and it's not a camping trip, people that go camping don't really find any supernatural experiences because the forest knows you're not going to be there. There's like a threshold of how long you're in the forest before it starts to degrade the Jewish programming from white society, and then you can connect to nature or the tree of life or the acacia or Awa or Gaia, and then they will. It's either you either have to stand up to those forces and honor them and be deserving of protection, or they will kill you. But all the forest is connected. Bears don't just eat people. Those people the forest has to deem eatable because there is a management system like Cernunnos or Loki or Baal or Sagittarius, the god of the wild hunt. There is a management system. Animals do sacrifice themselves for us, which is why the natives honored nature, because that's just the way it is. But like if you're sitting in a tree stand and a deer wanders up and it's eating, that deer might not be conscious of what it's doing, but the things connected to the deer in the mycelial network are aware of your presence, because you can find that, you just look it up. Trees, if you put a plant in your apartment and you feed it every day and you have a connection with your plant, that plant has electronic and electromagnetic stimulation that you can find when you're near. And that plant is aware of you coming home about 5 miles from that plant. When you become 5 to 10 minutes from your house, that plant will start to excite. It'll know that you're coming. And that plant isn't connected to the ground. Imagine these plants that are connected to the ground. You believe that trees aren't part of a greater intelligence, but you believe you have a nervous system and lungs, which are literally trees and leaves you can find. They literally look like trees and leaves, but you don't believe that plants are sentient to a degree, whether they're connected to like a big higher conglomerate and these are like the hair of Gaia, or they're all individually have their own personality. They're true. I whistle in the woods. Do I believe in Jesus Christ? When I try to make songs, sometimes I have these breakthroughs where a song way better than I could have ever made, but it's what I wanted, but it's better than what I could have I know honestly that it's the energy of it and the frequency of it and the way that it's expressed and how it comes through. And it's floating outside of me in spirit when I'm in my imaginative creative state. That's feels like grace to me. So if that's Jesus, then yes, I believe in Jesus. But I think that God is a trickster, because without a trickster God, there would be no sense of humor. And people take life so serious that I think God and Jesus are messing with people to get them to wake up. Can plants fall in love and crossbreed like a sentient rose wanted to fuck a sunflower? You gotta ask him. Do I think plants can fall in love? I don't know. But I have this feeling that plants have like a brotherhood or like a closeness, like family. That I bet if you grew if you grew a tree with a different species of tree, and then you uprooted both those trees and you planted them in different forests, they would try to like amalgamate or whatever, like integrate. But then if you uprooted them again and put them back together with that original tree, I bet you would see a lot of stimulation, like it's excited to be back with its friend. You know what I'm saying? So much tragedy God doesn't exist. You tried to ask him, but he was getting. No, these guys are gay, man. Listen, listen to these two. These guys are going off with each other. Where'd all the angry colonizers go, man? Did they get tired? Is it their bedtime? Do I have all messages on? I already had my 2 burritos for the night. I'm trying to save my food stamps. Yeah. I'm gonna have to go back eventually. Did I have both of my protein bars? No, I only had one. And now I have another one. Bitch. So you disagreed smoking about Yellow setting Mr. One on fire? Am I in Alaska? I wish I was in Alaska, man. Today I went to sit down and I saw a keychain with a black bear that said Alaska on it. And she said that she didn't go to Alaska. She just went to like a music conference and there was an artist from Alaska there. I'm 26, but I had a brain injury at 2019 that I lost about 5 years of my life to. So I don't really hold myself to the standard of being 26. I kind of cut myself some slack because I had a horrible childhood and I was literally taken for 5 years. So I don't take it that serious. You know, I don't compare myself to people with degrees and have houses and families because I just literally I wasn't able to get that at the time. So I would say like socially and behaviorally, I would give myself about 20 to 21. Even though like some parts of me are very developed, like, you know, I spent a lot of time making music. And when I was 14, I had a 140 IQ, whether you want to believe it or not. But a lot of traumas happened. And, you know, I was stuck in literally survival mode. Like you can see this year, at least this past year of making content, you can see how bad it was, especially last winter around December. I do every video, but I grew up with a mom that was severely traumatized as a child, and a dad, and he was a ski instructor, and he was funny. People liked him. He ended up getting very high ticket clients, like the CEO of Wells Fargo and the DuPont family, and he was good friends with another ski instructor who also was the yacht captain for the DuPont family. We called him Skip. When I was born, my grandmother bought my father a triplex with 40 cabins and a 4-story barn, and pretty quickly some jealous piece of shit burned it down, and the tenant stopped paying rent and stuff, so we lost it, and some guy turned it into a storage unit, and I don't know where the money went. I don't know what happened to that. We should have gotten like $400,000 for that. I don't know what happened to that money. I should probably ask my uncle where that 400,000 went. And after that, we moved into I went to live with my mom in Section 8 down the mountain, and my dad stayed on top of the mountain, and which is like 30 miles into the mountains in a small town with like really, really high-end ski resorts. Like one ski resort is specifically for the elite, and it's like $100,000 for a season's pass, and another 60 grand or 60 for a season's pass, $100,000 just to be on the top floor of this lodge when they do events, so you can be around people of your weight class, I guess, and have access to like other perks we don't know about. We don't know what's going on in that private mountain, but we lived on that resort when it was abandoned and nobody owned it. So I grew up in that abandoned resort in the ski chalet for the boat captain, and because he was off on the yacht, so he wasn't really around much. And I would visit with my dad there. I had a room full of Legos, but I was an only child. Didn't have a lot of friends. only had like a handful of play dates. Spent most of my life completely silent and completely alone, building Legos by myself. And when I was 9, I had a sleepover with my dad, and a corrupt cop pulled him over and tried to do something illegal, like rip the key out of the car, pulling his gun out, and my dad used his blinker, but the cop said he didn't use his blinker. He was going to kill my dad, and there was no body cams back then. So my dad tried to escape, but there were 6 police waiting for us right outside our property, outside Skip's house. So they gave him a brain injury. They tried to make him humiliate himself, but I don't feel he was humiliated. I felt like he stood up against all odds to a bunch of inbred retard yokels, like some stupid fat pieces of shit. And my dad fought them. So I'm proud of him. But he still relives that. He hasn't called me in years. I don't know if he's doing better, but for a little while he was calling me and just reliving that drunk. Like he really felt like I don't know what was going on with him, whether it's demonic influence or what, but he would pick up the phone and he would call me, and he was living in that state where he was literally he felt like I was 9, and he was trying to get me to run away to protect me from those people, because they ripped me out of the car and they held me in front of him, making me watch. And so after that, he didn't work anymore. He couldn't really work anymore. And now he kind of lives in an RV with a couple cats, and I don't really know where he is, because the last time I tried to see him, he had like a psychotic break and tried to kill me. He like grabbed my hair, threw himself on the ground, pulling me by my hair, and tried to choke me to death. So I'm like, I love you, stop. And then I bent his finger back till he ran off. But when I was 14, he tried to do the same thing, grabbing me by my leg and whipping me around the house, screaming, "Get the fuck out of my house! Get the fuck out of my house!" And it was like March 7th, it was negative degrees out, and I only had socks, pajama bottoms, V-neck, carrying my Xbox and my TV, because he was going to smash it. And I picked him up and I dropped him, and he broke his hip on the bed frame and on my guitar. And I walked a mile down the road while he was playing chicken, trying to hit me. And then my fingers were purple, couldn't move. I was trying to fix the landline for this old guy that had cancer and couldn't speak, and he was probably dementia. And then my dad burst through screaming he has a heart attack, driving back to the house. And then people told me that they didn't tell me whether he was alive or not. I don't think anybody really knew what happened to him, but I assumed that he died, because somebody had said that he died. Like a staff member kind of hinted at the fact that he might be dead. So I thought they were trying to let me down easily. And then one day, a month later, he shows up and he's fine. And I have a panic attack, hyperventilating in the homeless shelter. But since then, I was homeless from 14 to 19. I only became not homeless because I had the car accident, and then I was in Section 8 for a couple years. But high school, I worked really hard. I studied pickup artistry on the internet. I was in a residential program where they would lock us in closets. And my mom said she was coming to visit, and then she lived a mile down the road and she never came. So I would look through the closet, through the crack in the closet, to the crack in the plexiglass window, to where she usually parks. It's like stained so you can't see in or out, to protect people for their privacy for insurance. And she never came. She just decided to play Minecraft and go to sleep. And instead of coming to see her kid, my mom gave me up a lot. And eventually I got out, and then I got my foster brother out, and we were there until he was the coach of the tennis team, until he said, "I don't want to be a foster dad anymore. I'm good. I'm going to sell the house and move to live with my kids." So I went back into the shelter again. And I was between that foster home and I was couch surfing at a couple kids' houses. So I spent most of high school like that. And then just traveled. I've been traveling for a long time. I did go to college. I went to a trade school for music production and audio engineering, and I'm a certified audio engineer. And I do some of that work in where I shovel is a music, it's like a theater. So I work shoveling at a theater, and I help set up sets and take them down. And I just shoot the shit with the other audio engineers sometimes, and like ask him questions about what he thinks about my creative stuff. I don't dwell on it, but he asked, I hopped a train once, and the guy opened the door and said if I don't get off at the next stop, he's going to throw me off. And then he called me a wigger. So, when we got out, God had placed an old black woman there. So I said, he just called me a wigger. And she was like, what? And then he was like, yeah. So she got pissed and chewed him out while I went to go talk to his boss and told him what happened. I went into the station and called him on the phone. But I was trying to go to New York City because one of my friends was putting on a show. So I was going down there to see him. And then a couple of my dad's friends I called and they drove me back. My mom is, I think, settling, living an extremely isolated life alone in Section 8 where her screen time is 24 hours a day. She leaves it on. When she wakes up, she goes right to her phone, and when she goes to bed, the phone is with her. Then she's not listening to music or anything. She's just staring at the screen. Plus, she hasn't healed her trauma as a child. But she's developed into a very, very vindictive, well, just a bad case of narcissism. So it was really hard. I believe in demonic influence or negative entities. So I feel like those things kind of drive her around sometimes. So I can't have a relationship with her. I can't even have a conversation with her. She's funny. I think she's very unique. I wish that I had a relationship with her, but it's better for me that I don't, and she's just gonna die, and I'll spend the rest of my life feeling like it's my fault, even though I know it's not. Even though everyone always tries to make it my fault, this is not my fault. So she had a couple heart attacks a few years ago. But she's somebody that will lie to the police. And she will believe her lies, and they will grow, and then she'll start to spew that bullshit to people on the internet. And it's so funny that I'm telling the truth, but she'll hate that. But she won't be able to recognize that's how it felt for me. Yeah. And it's not like there's anyone that would be good for her anyway. Like, I remember one time she went to a thrift store and the homeless program was behind the thrift store, and I saw her have a conversation with some people. And she looked so happy because I know she hasn't had a conversation with anybody but her one friend who also lives in isolation in Section 8 and is a super narcissist. I knew she hadn't had a conversation with anybody in probably 10 years. So to see her as a normal person walking around and talking to people, it warms my heart, and I think about it a lot. And I wish that I could give her a better life, but I don't know how to do it, and I don't know if she even deserves it after what she's done to me. But, the last time I saw my parents, my dad tried to kill me, and my mom is like that. A vindictive narcissist hiding in someone playing the victim card. And then she was a real victim at one point in her life, and she watched me get victimized for years, and it didn't register to her that I might be suffering at all. You know what I'm saying? It sucks. My mom lies a lot too, and she's believable to others. Does she ever try to weaponize people against you with that false narrative to have them fuel her victim complex, and she uses it for her ego that she tries to exert on you? Sort of like farming you at your expense. Do I blame that shit on the white man too? Yes, because the people that traumatized her were white. And it was a product of corruption in white America that allowed them to do that to her. And yes, I blame what happened to my father too, because they were white people and they were brainwashed lemming losers that were jealous of my father and did that to him because they were jealous. So yeah. I'm Irish, and I'm Native, and I'm African. Irish people weren't white until there was so many Irish people in the country, and this was like the 90s. This was only 30 years ago that Irish people became technically white. But before that, they called them green niggas. They called us green niggers. because the freckles and the melanin and stuff. Ask any Haitian or Jamaican if Irish people are white, and they'll say, no, what the fuck? No, Irish people were slaves too. They were out there with them. Back in the day, after the Emancipation Proclamation, trespassing was invented because Irish, Native, and African people were all running around Mississippi on the river. True. The melanin Irish people were white. Yeah, the light skin and the Irish came from selective breeding by Vikings, and then the overwhelming colonialism over time. So at first, the original inhabitants of that island were dark skinned with blue eyes. And then they took in the Celts, which were the native Europeans, which were escaping Rome and Catholicism after Gallic France. When those started developing and killing off the natives, and they came from Israel. When the Jews came to that land and built all that stuff, not the Jews of today, but the people that the Jews pretend to be. The Jews are like only 400 years old, and they're pretenders. The real people from Israel, there's the good and the bad. The good are the Irish, that Hebraic culture that mixed with the dark-skinned people there. Those are the true Israelites. And then they took in the Gauls and the Celts. So that made their skin a bit whiter over time, over 2,000 years. You have one mixed race baby, and sometimes it's hard to distinguish whether it's white or not. But then the Vikings came, and the Vikings would show up at night. So imagine you're just like a farmer, and imagine you like just live in like a little shack with your wife and kids, and then one night, 5 people that are a foot shorter than you break into your house and kill you, and then kidnap your wife and kids and put them on a boat and take them all the way to the Middle East. And then on the boat, they get them pregnant, and then they have a kid with the rapist, and then once they've used up that woman and child, they dump them in Saudi Arabia for some money, and then they come back and do it again with that child, and then they go do it again and again and again, and that child does it again and again and again. And that's why Joe Rogan comes over thinking about the Vikings in Iceland. Those are the products of Viking, which was basically being a rapist, where they would invade at night, steal people, and that's why they called the Vikings goblins, and that's why they call the Irish giants, because the Irish were a foot tall. You can look it up. Irish and Scots were a foot taller than the rest of the world. But there was just so many cave monkey inbred freaks that would show up at night. And then when they killed off all the guys, they started taking over until Brian Boru, who was homeless at 14 because they killed his family. And then he spent his whole life from 14 to 73 uniting the tribes of Ireland. And then 6,000 men stormed it, swept it top to bottom, and then went to Dublin, where 7,000 Vikings were after they swept everybody. And then they won at the end, but pretty much all of them died. And Brian Boru died in his tent as a 73-year-old man resting because he had been fighting all day. And then a random Viking running from another Irish person that was going to kill him fell into his tent and killed him, is what the story is. You're Scottish in Scotland? How am I full of shit? You don't believe that the Vikings sex trafficked women and raped them to build better Vikings, and the English colonized them, and the original inhabitants were dark skinned? Google it. My history is not wrong, bro. I'm also Irish and Native American. Google it. Were the original inhabitants of Ireland dark skinned? Do the Irish believe that there was a war against the Tuatha Dé Danann, and in fighting back in rebellion against the Tuatha Dé Danann, they developed spiritual technology that allowed them to grow a foot taller than the rest of the world? You know what I'm saying? And then every single culture in the entire world says their origin story is from a space-faring humanoid race. Isn't that weird? And the Jews say that they own the world because they let those things rape them. And the Irish say that they're creative and funny and happy and tall. Back in the day, they were taller than everybody because they fought back against them, and with their connection to nature, it made them grow. But I wasn't there, you know. I don't know whether it's right or wrong or made up or what, but that's what they say. Maybe I don't know when they painted the hieroglyphs, but they depict Native Americans. I don't know what Atlantis is, but I know that aliens are coming out of the water and landing on aircraft carriers, and they do this beam of light that if there's like 15 people watching, 7 of them will get brain damage for the rest of their life and just be vegetables. And then they just hop off back into the water. And that's true. And Marco Rubio is saying it. Fucking Marco Rubio is saying that, yeah, there's aliens in the water, bro. I don't know. Isn't that crazy? 15 native and 5 different bloodlines from the tribes. I don't know. My grandfather was native. And he told my mom from northern New York. But Seneca has been coming to me a lot recently. Like this year, I got 30 packs of Seneca cigarettes. Somebody told me I was Seneca. Then I watched New Blood by Dexter, where Dexter Morgan goes to the Seneca Nation and protects them from Kirk Caldwell or KC. Yeah, Slavic roots. I mean, the English would call them slaves. They call them slaves because of Slavic, but Slavic people are literally the slave people. They were what the Jews practiced on before they mastered brainwashing them and then had them build Rome and England and America. They would practice on the Slavs. Slavs were the original slaves. Because they worship Capricorn, which is a pyramid scheme based on slaves. So they would torture their slaves in occult science to get bestowed blessings in metaphysics. So Cherokee is in like northern North Carolina. Apache is in like the Southwest. Cree is all the way up past Maine. And I don't know where Sioux is or Blackfeet are. Yeah. So how the fuck are you all of those things if they didn't get together and party all the time? For you to be Cherokee, Apache, and Cree, it means that your ancestors were fucking traveling and partying. Which makes sense that I think I'm Crow. I think I'm Cree. I think I'm Inuit. And I think I'm like Mohawk and Seneca. But I don't know for sure because I didn't know my grandfather. I'm just going off of what he told my mom and how my life has played out and the people that I meet that look like me and feel like me energetically. And then I'm like, you got Crow and Cree, right? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, I'm just trying to make sure because I'm going off of like how you feel. And he's like, I felt it too. No, did he? It's like we're playing a different song when we walk through life. Our consciousness is different because our epigenetics are different. And my great grandfather was from Ireland. And my great grandmother was paler than pale. And they said she was Irish and German, but when you look at a picture of her and you put it with a picture of a native person, she looks like a Native American with really light skin. So I think there was just so much going on back then, and the lifespans were shorter, so there were more generations. There's a lot of blending that we don't really know about that was going on. Because people traveled a lot more than you realize. Just because horses are slower doesn't mean you can't go 40 miles a day on a horse and then spend the weekend at a bar where you don't have a cell phone to get distracted, so you're talking to everybody, and then you hook up with a girl, and then you ride on to the next place, and then she's pregnant, and you never know that you have a kid. And then she also hooked up with another guy the next day, and there's no genetic testing, so you have no idea what's what or what's where or who, you know. Charleston, West Virginia, Virginia, and North Carolina area. Do you know her name? Because we could find the chief. Only 5 generations back? Do you think there was a hookup culture back then? I think with the blacks, natives, and Irish there was. I think there's a reason that everybody's a little bit Irish. In terms of white people society, I think they raped their daughters a lot. I think their dads were hooking up with their daughters a lot, you know? I think there was a hookup culture after dinner time. You know what I'm saying? But that society was based off hating everybody else, so I doubt there was a lot of mixing going on. But the natives, the Irish, and the blacks, and everything in between, yeah, definitely. At the Jukes, definitely. At the Jukes and on the plantations with the indentured servants and the slaves, and the children of the indentured servants after they killed them who would be slaves. Like, the slave master forces a black man to impregnate an Irish indentured servant because they killed the man already, so his wife. And then after she has a kid, after they use her up for everything and she's no longer able, they kill her, and they force the blacks to raise these mixed babies as slaves. And then the next generation, they all hook up with black people, and then it's hard to tell they were even Irish until you go out in the woods and you meet your ancestors and you're like, you're white. No, we're Irish. On the rocky road to Dublin, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's why we have movies like Sinners. Because that's true. Hunched the hare and turn her down the rocky road and all the way to Dublin, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Generations. I don't know what to do now. Let's hit my vape. Today, I was driving down the highway and I was like, do you have anything for me, God? And then in the back of my head, I saw a tarot video. So then I opened my phone, and the first thing on my YouTube For You page is, this found you for a reason, which is what they all say. So I click it, and she goes, we're going to read from the Crow Tarot deck today. I see 7 of Swords and the Devil. And it basically just, she was explaining that my life was walking on eggshells around severe narcissists, stuck in the devil energy, and having to grow and maneuver through it. And it was a powerful reading, I guess. That's great, man. Do you go back and visit the tribe? Are you trying to say that you're that? If you're Cherokee, the Cherokee are the richest native tribe. They have a lot of money, and they give it to the tribe. I mean, if I were you, I would get your tribal card and I would go move in. Get the fuck out of American society. Just be a dual citizen, but everything you have give to that tribe, as long as they're good people. I think the natives and the Irish should team up more instead of just that one story they have. Life of Brian, am I ready yet? Was this guy talking? Were you talking shit the other day or not? I can't remember. I can't remember if you was the shit talker the other day. Hunt the hare and turn her down the rocky road and all the way to Dublin. One for Lollyga. Yeah, just be humble and say that you want, you know, if while you're waiting, this year, like this spring, as the snow's melting, really find a place where you can go and just be in the woods and experience the snow melting and experience the birds waking up and just be there with nothing. Don't eat, only eat, you know. I was going off the grocery stores were telling me at the time that they didn't take food stamps, and I'd have to go to the grocery store that took food. I mean, the gas stations, the grocery store itself, not the gas stations that told me they didn't take food stamps. The grocery store was 5 miles away, and I didn't have a car if I wanted to get food, so I mostly starved out there. And then Heather Demon Hunter here would send me money every week, and I would spend it on McDonald's eating. And then occasionally I'd walk down there and get food and come back. And then I found out there was a bus, but every time I walked down that road, they were throwing shit at me, trying to hit me with the car, and I had come from a place that was much worse than anything that happened this year, or the last 2 years. Where I came from before was a lot more dangerous. So I wasn't really trying to go, because it was a dangerous place and there was people everywhere. I was in a small city. So I knew it was people were treating me worse, and I knew there were no police, and the police had made it clear that they would take any false police report given and they would act on it with extreme prejudice. So I wasn't trying to adventure, so I hid in that shack in the woods, and it was the best thing that could have happened to me. So I think that's what you should do. I don't know how old you are, but if you don't have that under your belt, man, I would really do it while there's still time. Like, technology's getting out of control, cell towers are evolving. We're sort of like at the tail end. I think the best time to do it would have been 2021 to 2025 to really have that woodland adventurer experience. But it's not too late. It's just going to be a different flavor of it. It's going to be fire instead of water and earth. So it's still going to be cool, but it's going to be different. You know, like the past 2 years, the wood dragon and the wood snake, that would have been the time to be out in the woods. But it's still beneficial even if you just spend a month out there. You have to learn to let everything go, and you have to understand. I'm sure you understand prejudice, but you have to understand that isolation, and then that's how you build a connection to nature. And then deep at night, while you're alone out there, scared because nature's fucking with you, and there are things around, you will, in the midst of that, around the moon cycles, it'll open up a portal in your consciousness, and you'll be able to communicate with other things, and you'll have to you'll have to discern yourself whether it's benevolent or not. You might accidentally have them hijack you for a minute. I've had a praying mantis alien come down and take control of my body and then go like this and then go back off. And then I was like, that's weird. And then I saw a picture of there's a meme about single mothers, and the guy's in bed, and then the girl is ripping off her shirt, but her shadow with the light is a praying mantis. And then Kim Kardashian once posted a picture of her and her whole family, and they were all doing the praying mantis hands. I would do it. It's the rite of passage every man should do. I went from hiding terrified to chasing a bear through the woods. You know? Just be careful, because white people that know they can get away with doing it will go out there to do stuff to you. When I was young, I heard a story about a group of people getting together and kidnapping somebody and shoving a stick up his ass. And then that guy went to jail for pedophilia later. I wish I had a dog. Is that a dog, Golden Brindle? Dude, I should ask. Chat, should I get a dog? It's a good dog, too. I'm sure it's been taken by now. What did Paul? Should I get a dog? Should 2026 be the year I have a dog? I kind of want a horse, though. If I didn't get a car this year, I would have bought a horse. I wish I had a Cane Corso. And I think I want a black... I don't know if I want a Cane Corso or a Black Lab Rottweiler mix. I think I want a Black Lab Rottweiler mix. Dancing with Wolves had a dog and a horse. Dancing with Wolves. What is Dancing with Wolves? I want a dog and a horse. I want Narrowway Homestead to take me in like he did to Will Survives, but I don't make enough money to entice him. Where do you guys live? Do you guys go to public parks and see everybody twitching and checking each other for dominance, trying to play energy battles, and you can watch as the presence moves between them like it's like a literal entity attaching to people and jumping bodies? That's what I see when I go to this 40 miles to the city. Yeah. Only 5 votes. We'll see. We'll leave it for like 20 minutes. I'm at an hour 30. When I looked at the clock, it was 1:33:03. I've driven 360 miles in the past 2 days. So I'm going to have to get the car checked. They told me my empire is waiting. I said, should I get a dog? And then a beam of light shot from right outside the car and said, no. I should not get a dog because I'm barely functioning myself. They said, you're barely taking care of yourself. Golden English Pit Bull, Gator, Blue Nose. It was an alligator too. And one other, which I can't remember at this moment. My friend told me a story about how she was in Florida with her brother, and she said they just had alligators just in the house. They had like a room with an alligator in it. That's just normal in Florida. And they get really mad if you try to say you're white and you're Irish. They get really mad. Because you're denouncing your history. You're denouncing your ancestors. Claiming you're white when you're Irish. Because Irish people weren't white until the 90s. Look up Irish need not apply. And the signs, they would put signs in the Irish, the natives and the blacks built these cities. And in those cities, when the white people moved into them, they put signs that said no blacks, no dogs, and especially no Irish. I feel like I've accomplished a lot. I've made a change in people's hearts across America and New Zealand. And that has sent waves and ripples of growth of my tree through the collective. And I've also given a perspective to thousands of people in my state as they watched me all last year go from nothing to something, surviving in extreme circumstances, in rebellion against the system. And I make progress every day. I bought a notebook. I have toothbrush and toothpaste now. I'm off cigarettes. Instead of binging on chips and fighting my traumas, I have 2 burritos a day and a couple protein bars and prebiotic soda. The only thing bad is these energy drinks, but I like them. I feel like I've accomplished a lot. If you look back at where I started and look at me now, that's a huge accomplishment. It was like a race, and we all started at the same line, and then a bunch of people grabbed me, beat me for years while everybody else took off running. They just stayed there beating me, and then I stayed suffering, feeling like they're constantly beating me for years. And then I had to crawl while they all kicked me and laughed. And then they shit on me because I'm nowhere near close to those guys. I'm like, joke's on you. Why are you even in the race? You're just running in circles. And then I leave and go hang out with the really cool people while they all like put on a show because they think they're supposed to. And they're not, at this point, they're not even racing anymore. They're just fat and sitting on the track talking shit about me because they think that they're 50 laps ahead of me. Joke's on you. You're just over there. You're just over there, bro. And it's funny because I talk like a race. I'm the only one I know of all those people that I'm comparing myself to that actually walked on the track. Because to heal the brain injury, I would walk 10 miles on the track every day. Come home and sit in the studio for sometimes 12 hours, work out, and I was studying astrology, quantum physics, healing brain injuries, and I basically had a master class in empathy and understanding the universe. Yeah, but I'm a 33 life path born on the 11th, and I'm a Sagittarius sun, Mercury and Pluto in the 8th house, and my Saturn is in Taurus in the 1st house. So I have horrible karmic experiences to my physical body. I'm limited financially, and I'm on a journey through the darkest parts of the human experience, rejuvenating and constantly growing with Jupiter and Sagittarius. And my Jupiter itself, the planet, not just Jupiter's influence on Sagittarius, but my Jupiter itself is in the 12th house in Aries, which means that in isolation, I grow to the highest points of the human condition. In Aries, I get the highest level of knowledge in isolation. And my Aquarius, Moon, Mars, Neptune, and Uranus are in the 10th house, which means that not only as a moon in Aquarius, I'm completely detached and I experience the world at the highest level purely with information without emotion. So the sociopathic and logical, but also my Mars, this aggressive force, is all in the name of the righteous truth. And in the 10th house means that not as I'm placed away, my emotional self placed away and exalted grows into a public figure in the 10th house. So as I'm suffering karmically, but not my karma, taking on other people's karma attacks me, and I'm forced to regrow and then recuperate in isolation, growing into a public figure, I'm also in the mix in the 8th house, in the darkest parts of the human condition, the Scorpion, and I have to raise that like the Phoenix in it as they constantly cut down the Elder Tree or Sagittarius. And what does my name mean but Acacia, Casey, is the immortal, pure, ancient tree of life that no matter what you do to it, it always grows back, and it's the purest energy in this existence. And that's my sun, sun in the 8th house, rejuvenation, Casey, and then 33 life path, and then the moon in Aquarius in the 10th house means that exalted and placed away, I'm like the gateway to other realms, and that's the 11th, being born in the 11th. And my last name means exalted, placed away with a high sense of authority and power. Know what I'm saying? I don't know. I haven't been reading Brian's shit. Is he just talking shit? May I like your story about having all the best jokes and knowing what to say. Yeah, when I was 17. Sometimes I make myself laugh. But that's true. And it's cool that my life was something so humbling, and I always felt worthless and like an outcast. And then as I grow through my life, I'm putting the pieces together to realize how special I actually am. Because I can't let it register. I just try to have fun and enjoy myself all day. And just not let the outside world, my external circumstances, dictate my internal condition. You heard me? They want me to get a dog. I should get a dog. I can feed, shelter, and train it. But what I'm thinking about, if I'm driving and I'm singing and that dog is going to feel trapped, you know? Hey, Brian, it's not because you're right. It's just because I'm tired of you. I think I'm going to give you a 24-hour. That way, if you comment and you come back, it still helps my algorithm. But I don't have to see you. It is what it is. I just saw another shadow thing crawling beside the car, so we're going to head out now. Because it should be 8. No, it's only 6. It gets dark quick, man. Dude, it's only 6 o'clock. I think I'm going to go so that I can continue to listen to my cool stuff while my phone is charged. Because I don't have... Oh, look, there's been no cars at all. And then as soon as I'm about to leave, there's a car. Fuck off, will you? In Maine, they say, go fuck your mother. Go fuck your mother. Yep. Seatbelt on, thank you. Alright. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the content, I have a Cash App, GoFundMe, Venmo. Send it to your grandma. Let her get some good karma. Help me save the world. Smash that like button with your ass cheeks if you want. I don't give a fuck. It's your life. Later.